You are standing right there in the middle of a conversation, and you know exactly what you want to say.
Oh, yeah, the vocabulary is right there in your head.
Right, but you are just frozen. It feels it feels exactly like playing a video game with severe internet lag.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, like you're frantically pressing the buttons on the controller, and you know exactly what move you want to make, but the character on the screen is just standing there.
Just completely unresponsive.
Exactly. Unresponsive until it's too late, and the moment has just completely passed you by. Well, welcome to Daily English Practice. Today we are taking a stack of research from academic journals on neuroplasticity to language learning blogs to really extract the ultimate roadmap for adult learners to achieve real speaking fluency.
Because as you said, the biggest hurdle isn't memorizing more vocabulary.
No, not at all. The real enemy is that dreaded translation pipeline in our heads. Okay, let's unpack this, because by the end of our time today, you're going to have specific, actionable techniques to completely bypass that lag. We're going to talk about how to stop translating and start thinking directly in English.
And to fix that conversational lag, we really have to look at the mechanical failure happening in the brain.
Right, the actual gears turning.
Exactly. The translation pipeline is essentially a multi-step cognitive processing bottleneck.
Bottleneck.
Yeah, because when someone asks you a question in English, your brain doesn't just naturally answer. First, it formulates a response in your native language.
Okay, step one.
Then step two, it actively searches your memory banks for the English equivalent of those specific words. Third, it runs a grammar check.
Right, making sure the tenses are right.
Exactly. And fourth, it prepares the physical pronunciation. Only then do you actually speak.
And by which point the other person has probably already completely changed the subject. I mean, your brain is running this heavy 5-step software program just to say, like, I'd like a coffee.
And that extra processing time is exactly what triggers the anxiety. I mean, reading or listening can tolerate a bit of a delay.
Sure, because the book isn't staring at you, waiting for an answer.
Right, you can take a second to decode a difficult paragraph. But conversation, however, is a synchronized activity. It simply cannot tolerate delay.
It has a rhythm to it.
Exactly. Constantly converting ideas back and forth just destroys the natural pacing of human interaction.
So if it's that inefficient, we really have to ask why every adult learner defaults to this pipeline in the first place. I mean, why build the detour at all?
Well, it acts as a psychological safety net.
A safety net. How so?
Because learning a language as an adult involves this massive drop in status. You go from being a highly articulate, competent professional in your native language,
Right, where you sound smart.
right, to someone who struggles to express basic needs. So translating feels safe. It allows you to double-check your accuracy internally before you put yourself out there and risk making a mistake.
That makes a lot of sense. You want to rehearse it before it leaves your mouth.
Exactly. But the problem is that this safety net becomes a trap. It keeps you permanently locked out of fast-paced, real-world communication.
Yeah, so the sources offer a pretty massive cognitive shift to break out of this trap. They point out that the human brain doesn't actually think in native words at all.
It really doesn't.
No, it thinks in images, concepts, and situations. Like, if you are holding a coffee cup and you suddenly drop it, your brain doesn't take the time to form the sentence, I have dropped a cylindrical drinking vessel.
No, of course not.
It just flashes an image of a shattered mess on the floor and a sudden slug of frustration, right? The meaning exists long before the words do.
Which means the ultimate goal of fluency is connecting English directly to those raw images and feelings. You have to cut the mother tongue out of the equation entirely.
Right, bypass the middleman.
Exactly. You want the physical object in your hand to trigger the sound cup without any intermediary step.
And this is where we get to a very specific, actionable change the sources recommend, which is throwing away your bilingual dictionary.
Just toss it.
Seriously. I mean, one of the sources joked that a bilingual dictionary is only good for putting your coffee cup on so it doesn't leave rings on the table.
That's entirely accurate.
Because using a bilingual dictionary is like hiring a translator for a date. Sure, you'll understand what's being said across the table, but you will never actually form a direct, intimate connection with that person.
Right. You are training your brain to rely on that middleman. The bilingual dictionary reinforces this false idea that an English word is just a code for a native word.
When it's not.
No. Moving to a monolingual English-to-English dictionary forces cognitive mapping. When you look up the word umbrella, and the definition reads, a device you hold over your head to stay dry.
You're staying in English.
Exactly. You are remaining inside the architecture of the English language. You are mapping the new word to a concept, not to a translation.
Okay, so the translation pipeline is the enemy, and we need to map English directly to concepts. But wait, if we don't translate, how do we connect the English word to what it actually means? Like, taking that theory and applying it in a high-pressure conversation with a native speaker is terrifying.
It is terrifying.
We need a way to practice this direct mapping without the stakes of public embarrassment. And this is where the inner monologue method comes in.
Yes, this is a game changer.
Because we all constantly talk to ourselves anyway, right? Like, what should I eat for lunch? Or I need to do the laundry, or why is the train late? The technique is simply redirecting that internal voice into English.
What's fascinating here is the neuroscience backing this up. It's staggering. Using your inner monologue in a target language creates this zero-pressure environment for experimentation.
Because nobody else can hear you.
Right, because there is no external listener, the brain's affective filter.
The effective filter.
Yeah, that's the anxiety mechanism that blocks learning. It gets completely lowered. But beyond just practicing vocabulary, you are engaging in intensive neuroplasticity. Thinking in a foreign language physically strengthens the prefrontal cortex.
Wait, I want to unpack this because this was, for me, one of the most surprising things in the research. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain responsible for executive function, planning, and problem solving.
Yes, exactly.
And the sources mention something called the academic transfer effect. So how does narrating my laundry in English make me better at other completely unrelated academic subjects?
It comes down to cognitive control. When you think in English, your brain has to actively suppress your native language.
Okay.
And that suppression is a heavy cognitive workout. It exercises a mental muscle called inhibition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that exact same inhibition muscle is what a scientist uses to ignore irrelevant data, or what a mathematician uses to focus on a specific variable without getting distracted.
So the same mental muscle.
The very same. By forcing your brain to switch linguistic systems, you are upgrading your overall executive function. You literally become better at analytical reasoning.
That is wild. You are upgrading your brain's hardware just by changing the language of your thoughts.
You really are.
But to actually implement this, the recommendation is to start incredibly small.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to debate macroeconomic policy in your head on day one.
No, that will just lead to burnout.
Right. You start with micro monologues. Narrate brushing your teeth. Literally think, I'm holding my toothbrush, I'm putting toothpaste on it, I'm brushing in circles. It sounds elementary, but it lays down those direct neural pathways.
Because you are building a new default setting, 10 or 20 seconds of self-talk scattered 10 times throughout your day constantly pulls your brain back into an English-dominant mode.
I love this. But what if I'm doing my inner monologue? Let's say I'm cooking dinner, and I completely blank on the English word for spatula.
Right, the missing word.
Yeah, my internal narration hits a brick wall.
Yeah.
Don't I have to translate then? Doesn't the brain have to revert to the native language to look it up? Otherwise, I'm just standing in my kitchen in silence.
Not at all. This brings us to a psychological survival skill known as circumlocution.
Circumlocution.
Yes. It is the art of talking around a missing word, and it is absolutely vital for fluency. I mean, even native speakers suffer from the tip of the tongue phenomenon.
Well, all the time. Hand me the thing.
Exactly. When a native speaker forgets a word, they don't panic and they don't pull out a dictionary. They just describe the object. So if you forget spatula, your inner monologue simply shifts to, I need that flat tool to turn the eggs.
Oh, okay.
If you forget umbrella, it just becomes the thing for rain.
That makes total sense. So circumlocution keeps the momentum alive. You're using English to explain English, which prevents the panic response and keeps you safely inside the target language.
Yes, and it proves to your brain that a missing vocabulary word is not a fatal error. You just take a slight detour around the gap and keep moving forward.
Okay, so circumlocution saves us when we dodge a single noun. But how does the brain handle the actual architecture of a full sentence?
That's a bigger challenge.
Right, because dodging one word is one thing, but stringing together a real-time, grammatically correct paragraph without panicking requires a completely different level of cognitive load.
And cognitive load theory is actually the key to understanding this. Human working memory is incredibly limited. On average, we can only hold 4 to 7 items in our active working memory at any given time.
Just 4 to 7.
That's it. And a major misconception adult learners hold is that fluency means building sentences word by word, like assembling tiny individual puzzle pieces. Subject, verb, adjective, noun.
So if I try to build the sentence, I would have gone to the store, and I have to retrieve, I would have gone to the store as individual grammatical decisions.
Your working memory crashes before you even finish the thought.
Right, the system overloads.
Exactly. Fluency does not come from word-by-word assembly. It comes from chunking. Yes. Chunks are ready-made patterns or phrases that your brain stores and retrieves as a single neurological unit. Instead of I plus would plus have plus gone, the phrase I would have gone becomes one single item in your working memory.
Oh, I get it. It's like buying pre-chopped vegetables for a stir-fry.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, if you were rushing to make dinner, you don't stand there peeling and dicing every single carrot, onion, and pepper from scratch. That takes way too much time and energy.
Yeah.
You grab the pre-chopped mix, throw it in the pan, and the heavy lifting is already done.
Exactly. Chunks do the cognitive heavy lifting in a conversation. Native speakers rely on chunks constantly to buy themselves processing time.
Like what kind of chunks?
Well, when asked a difficult question, they don't sit in awkward silence drafting a perfect paragraph. They deploy a chunk. Phrases like, to be honest with you, or it really depends on, or the main point I'm trying to make is.
And while the mouth is automatically delivering that chunk, the brain has an extra 2 seconds of runway to figure out the actual substance of the sentence.
You've got it. And alongside chunking, the sources emphasize the technique of layering.
Layering.
Yeah, the rule is simple first, better later. Perfectionism is the absolute enemy of fluency. Adult learners often try to translate a complex, nuanced thought from their native language directly into English, resulting in paralysis.
Because they want to sound as smart as they do in their native language.
Precisely. Layering strips the thought down to its core. If someone asks for your opinion on a new project, start with the simplest possible core message. I don't like it.
Core message delivered. You are officially participating in the conversation.
Right. Then you layer on a reason. It feels too risky. Then layer on a detail. Because we don't have enough time this week.
That feels so much more manageable.
It is. If you analyze audio recordings of natural native speaker conversations, they are not composed of perfectly structured paragraphs. They are full of fragments, false starts, and simple layers.
Native speakers mess up all the time.
All the time. If you make a grammatical error mid-sentence, like if you catch yourself saying, he go to work, you don't stop the conversation, apologize, and mentally punish yourself.
You just fix it.
Yes, you instantly correct it to, he goes to work, and keep the flow moving. Correct and continue.
Okay, so we have our inner monologue mapped to concepts, and we are protecting our working memory using chunks and layering. Taking these internal strategies and pushing them out into the real world requires a bridge.
Yes, you have to transition to the outside world.
And random vocabulary drills won't do it. The research points heavily towards storytelling as the ultimate mechanism for building natural conversational rhythm.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the human brain is notoriously bad at memorizing isolated data points.
Flashcards, basically.
Right. Memorizing a list of 50 random vocabulary words is highly inefficient because those words have no situational or emotional anchor. Storytelling provides that anchor.
So it glues it all together.
Exactly. When you narrate an event, you naturally link expressions, you practice appropriate pausing, and you internalize the grammatical structure because it is tied to a specific sequence of events.
And the recommendation isn't to write, like, a sweeping novel. It's about taking 1 minute to share a tiny, personal slice of life. Like, I woke up late, the coffee machine was broken, and I missed my train.
Very simple.
Yeah. Or using fun, simple prompts. Things like, the funniest moment I experienced at work this month, or the most surprising thing I saw on my commute today.
Storytelling bridges the gap between passive studying and active social use. It forces you to maneuver through past, present, and future tenses naturally.
And doing it out loud is key, right?
Absolutely. Practicing these short narratives out loud builds the vocal confidence required to hold the floor in a real interaction.
And the sources offer incredibly practical ways to drill this. One method is to record a 1-minute story on your phone's camera. You don't have to post it anywhere. Just play it back.
That playback is crucial.
Yeah, because you will immediately hear where your pacing falls apart, where you are pausing too long, or where you are rushing out of nervousness.
It's instant feedback.
Right. And another method is improvisational practice, like open the photo gallery on your phone, pick a completely random picture from 3 years ago, and force yourself to improvise a story about what was happening right before the photo was taken and what happened right after.
That's brilliant because improvisation trains the brain to retrieve vocabulary under mild stress.
Because you don't know what photo's going to pop up.
Right. It simulates the unpredictability of a real conversation, training you to rely on circumlocution and chunking rather than freezing up.
But, telling stories and recording videos is highly active practice. It takes a lot of mental energy. Willpower is a finite resource. And if you have to force yourself to study every single day, eventually you will burn out.
It's inevitable.
So how do we sustain this level of English processing when we are just too tired to actively practice?
Well, you have to rely on ambient environmental triggers. The environment you construct around yourself dictates the habits your brain forms.
The environment does the work for you.
Exactly. If you only interact with English during a scheduled 1-hour study session, your brain will always categorize it as an external, difficult chore. You have to weave the language into the fabric of your physical and digital reality.
Creating what the sources call a language bubble.
Yes, a language bubble.
And building this bubble starts in the physical world. Grab a stack of sticky notes and label the everyday objects in your house. Put a note reading mirror on the bathroom glass. Label the refrigerator, the front door, the coffee pot.
It's classic, but it works.
It really does. Because this isn't just about memory reminders. It's about rewriting your visual processing pathway. Every time you walk past the coffee pot, your eyes see the object and the English word simultaneously, forging a direct neural link that completely bypasses your native language.
And the digital environment is arguably even more critical.
Oh, absolutely.
Changing the core language settings on your smartphone, your laptop, and your social media accounts to English is a non-negotiable step.
It's painful at first, but you have to do it.
You really do. It forces you to navigate your daily digital existence reading notifications, scanning menus, clicking buttons entirely in the target language. You are forcing your brain to process English just to survive your modern routine.
And then we add audio immersion to the bubble. Your brain is a highly advanced pattern recognition machine. Even if you're not actively taking notes, exposing yourself to a constant stream of English audio feeds that machine.
Just having it in the background.
Yeah, listen to a 15-minute English news brief while eating breakfast. Put on an English audiobook during your commute. Play English music at the gym. Watch a cooking tutorial on YouTube in English while making dinner. It's like moving to London or New York, but without having to pay the rent.
That passive absorption is how the brain internalizes the subtle rhythms, the intonation, and the natural stress patterns of the language. You are simulating the immersion of living in an English-speaking country without actually having to move there.
Okay, so if an adult learner implements all of this, if they're running an inner monologue, relying on chunks, dodging missing words with circumlocution, practicing one-minute stories, and living inside a digital language bubble, what are the tangible milestones? I mean, how do they know the neuroplasticity is actually working?
Well, the first major indicator is a noticeable reduction in response time.
The lag goes away.
Exactly. When someone asks a question, that agonizing lag will begin to vanish. You will find yourself initiating a response with a familiar chunk before you have even consciously planned the rest of the sentence.
That's a great feeling.
It is. The second indicator is an internal quietness. You will stop catching yourself translating in your head. The English phrases will simply appear.
Like magic, but it's just science.
Right. But the ultimate milestone, however, is when the subconscious fully adopts the new operating system, and you wake up realizing you just had a dream entirely in English.
Dreaming in English.
Yeah.
Wow. That is the moment your brain accepts the language as a native tool. Let's bring all of these strategies together. Our roadmap to bypassing the translation pipeline requires a few key structural changes.
It's a clear path.
It really is. First, ditch the bilingual dictionary and force yourself to map English words directly to concepts. Second, utilize the inner monologue method to narrate your daily routine, taking advantage of circumlocution whenever you hit a roadblock.
Right. Talk around the missing words.
Exactly. Third, protect your working memory by using chunks to buy time and layer your sentences from simple to complex. Fourth, practice one-minute storytelling to build conversational rhythm. And finally, construct an inescapable language bubble using physical labels, digital settings, and constant audio immersion.
That's the blueprint.
Now, we want to hand it over to you. As you go about your day today, we want to leave you with a challenge. Look around your space right now. Which of these techniques are you going to implement first? Are you going to change your phone settings, or are you going to record a one-minute story on your camera tonight? Let us know in the comments. Please make sure to interact, like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on your daily practice.
And before we wrap up, there is one final, really profound implication found in the research regarding neuroplasticity.
Purdue, right. I love this part.
Yeah, we established that language does not merely express thought, it actively shapes cognitive control and executive function.
Right.
So if you take the inner monologue method to its logical extreme and you force yourself to make your complex daily decisions in English, asking yourself, how do I solve this conflict at work? Or is this a smart financial investment? Does adopting the second language actually alter your personality?
Wait, really? Alter your personality?
Well, think about it. By reasoning outside of your native emotional context, do you inherently become a more logical, objective thinker? It is a fascinating concept to ponder as you continue to upgrade your brain.
It changes the entire perspective. You aren't just memorizing a new vocabulary list. You are expanding the very framework of how you process reality. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation and you feel that familiar hesitation creeping in, remember, you don't need to try harder to translate.
No, just drop the translation entirely.
You just need to stop playing through the lag. Close the translation program, deploy a chunk, and let the conversation flow. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.